how to become better at using Google. See, being good at using search engines will unlock infinite information for you. So it's a really good skill to have. Anyway, this is how you become better. Let's start with the basics. First, there is tools. So basically, if you are looking for information that's in a fast moving industry, you're going to want the latest information on it because obviously it's going to change over time. So you use tools and then change it from anytime to anytime within the last year, within the last month. You can look and find the most recent web pages that refer to your search query. Next, we'll talk about platforms. Every search on Google doesn't have to just be the World Wide Web. Google Scholar brings you scientific papers that have been written on your query. Google News brings you news media coverage on your query. Google Books looks inside of books for your query. And then Google Image Search will actually bring the source of an image that you upload. Now, let's talk about Google operators. Now, there's a bunch of Google operators, but I'm only going to mention the ones that I use regularly. But operators are basically characters that you can use in your query to refine your search. One of the most common is quotation marks. See, when you put in words in a search query for Google, Google's going to find you all of the relevant words, flip around the order of those words, and add a bunch of words to it and serve you what it thinks is the most relevant results for that query. But when you put something inside of quotation marks, then Google only searches for that string in that order. Next, we'll talk about site : website. If you use site : website, then you can search only within a specific website. Another one I use is in URL : and then a search query. Then Google will only look within URL strings for that search query. And then finally, the minus symbol will exclude words from a search. Last, I want to go over some best practices. Here's the thing. Not everything is easy to find on Google. Google has vast information, but a lot of independent, smaller sites lack the technical know-how to prompt Google to index their sites. Also, really old information or brand new information, both are often sparsely indexed. So that means that finding information can sometimes be a little tricky. So when you're running a search and you don't find exactly what you're looking for, you should consider changing around the words and reiterating your search. As you continually do this, you'll start to discover new phraseology and new ways that you can make that search happen. Another way to use this is also process of elimination. If you have a vague idea and you can only start with that, you're not sure the technical terminology you need to use, you continuously reiterate your search and then you find irrelevant information, you know that that is not the terminology you need to use. You start process of elimination, striking things from your searches. On the other end of that is what I call chasing rabbit trails. And this is where you start finding relevant terms, then you create a new search for those relevant terms, trying to build a web of relevant terms that leads you to the information that you're looking for. Finally, and what I think is probably the most important, fact checking. Search engines are great tools for fact checking, but A, it's important to fact check information because a lot of people don't, but B, you also have to make sure that the information you're fact checking checks out from reliable sources. One of the easiest ways to do this is just find multiple sources of corroboration for the information. Now, this can be tricky because sometimes one person shares an opinion or something, and then a whole bunch of news outlets cover it, and then you think that you've just found a whole bunch of corroboration. That's not the case because the source is still a single source. So what you're going to want to do is try to find as many independent sources of corroboration for information as possible. If a lot exist, then while that's not 100% foolproof, usually that is a good indicator that the information is reliable. All right, hope that helps.